you know you love me, I know you care.
Now, if you've only joined us recently, you're probably used to seeing this pink dog. Cupcake, that is me. Or that's one of me anyway. I do actually have 4 personas at the moment. I have Helly, who is still getting repaired. I have Cupcake. I have Yen, who is not presently a suit, but is an ice wolf ethereal creature. And I have Flitwick, who is something called a flit. But why am I making this video? Why specifically make a video dedicated to a character like Flitwick? You guys haven't really seen much of her. She doesn't have a fursuit, and there's not a ton of art of Flitwick out there. There's a reason. She is a species that I kind of made up. It's usually confused for a griffin or sometimes an angel dragon. I don't know how or why. But because there's not really a clear reference for a Flitz out there, I decided to throw down some of my own money and collaborate with Cura X Studios on a free flit base that people can use to create their own Flitz. Now, there are some details that we should go through about a Flitz and specifics, so just to get going on a couple of specifics you should know, here's everything you need to know about a Flitz. So Flitz are a species that I created because I had this idea in my mind of a character that I really thought would fit a side of my personality that I don't really express as much, and it's the kind of derpy, goofy, all over the place, just kind of silly personality. It comes out a little bit in Cupcake, but not really. But Flitz are essentially a avian type creature, similar to like a Sergal or a Dutch angel dragon, except unlike having more horsey features like a Dutch angel dragon or more draconic features like a angel dragon, or more of that sharky, snaky, feathered reptile feel of a Sergal, they're actually a little more akin to a griffin, but with some very distinct differences. So Flitz are a canid avian species, which means they are a glorified bird dog. The term flit is actually short for fleet-footed avian, say that 5 times fast, and they have some pretty distinguishing characteristics. They are a very, very bird-brained bunch with a dog body, and they're definitely in the dodo category of personas. They are not the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree, but they're fun and they like to go and meet new friends, and in their typical environment they can run around through the trees because they do have a bit of a lighter body, but what they really, really enjoy is getting about as close to the clouds in the sky as possible, which is why many of them that you will see have mostly white bodies. Now, there is a variation on this. Some can have mostly black bodies, and they tend to be bottom dwellers that hide in the shadows in the dark, don't come out as much. But in summary, Flitz are kind of like really derpy griffins with really distinguishing features. So Flitz are an odd bunch. While they are kind of interesting and fun to draw and have really striking features, they also have a lot of guidelines, recommendations, and rules. One of which is the main body of their actual design has to be white or black. There is really no wiggle room there. With their lore, they either are reaching for the sky or hiding in the shadows, and white and black are about as varied as they get. Now, in terms of their coloring, their palette typically only consists of 4 primary colors. One that tints their eye, one that tips their ears and across their face in the kind of X pattern that narrows out at their pointed beak, and one that kind of sheens their body. Many have socks or stockings on their feet and legs, and some may have variations on this. Sometimes the coloring isn't as solid or there's patches in it, but they're a pretty easy species in terms of just following simple rules. Now, their beak can have all kinds of jagged edges and designs. They can be hooked like Flitwick's, or jagged, or really in any kind of dual shape, but they do not have the bird beak of a single point in the front. It is actually 2 points on either side, and underneath they actually have a full row of canid teeth, because like I said, they are bird dogs. Now, with very specific rules, they can be 3 genders. They were designed this way to be inclusive, but also to allow for some more creative entries, if you will. There are fully female AFLITS, there are fully male AFLITS, but then there's a odd little category on the side called variant AFLITS, and variant AFLITS can have any number of different approaches to gender. Some of them have both sets of genitals and some have none. You could very easily have a genderless AFLIT that is classified as variant, or you could have an AFLIT that floats between genders or has literally all the equipment in the box, and that will be accepted as a variant AFLIT. Now, with these creatures, there's also a couple more rules. So many rules. So, of their body colors, they have to be primary. So it is only 4 primary colors, and that is essentially what you are using to color the tongue, the eyes, the ears, the marking down the face, the hands, the feet. And they typically don't have anything on their main body, and the sheen that glows off their fur is like a very light glow of primary color. In Flitwick's case, it's yellow. It's a very bright sunshine yellow that kind of contrasts on her white fur, but if you choose to have a black-bodied AFLIT, just bear in mind that that little sheen will kind of define the outline if light hits them from behind. Another pretty quick rule on this is they typically don't have a lot of body modifications, tattoos, scarification, what have you. They're pretty bird-brained and dumb, so yeah, they might get some bumps and scrapes here and there, but for the most part, AFLITS are a very simple species. They're simple-minded, they look very simple. They are extremely inquisitive and tend to veer towards, you know, reading and being very to themselves, but there are a few exceptions of this for black fur AFLITS that tend to be much more bold and sometimes veer on the darker evil side. Although sometimes you have a black fur AFLIT that doesn't really identify that way, and it can be a little weird. So that's essentially all of the rules that are in place for AFLITS. If an AFLIT is made with colors that don't fit that, they are not actually technically an AFLIT. In that case, they would be considered a hybrid and would not be recognized as part of the species. I know it's harsh, but that is just the lore behind AFLITS. So why are we even talking about AFLITS again? I mean, Flitwick's cute and all, but like, what does this have to do with anything? Well, AFLITS have been an open species for a while, but not many people were aware of it. And I hadn't really formally opened the species, and I haven't really seen any other AFLITS, but they are now very much publicly an open species that you can create your own persona based off of. And, you know, I thought it was kind of neat. So I was working with 2 different artists to create a free sheet that you can use to design your own. Please follow the guidelines, otherwise it does not count as an AFLIT. But, yeah, they're an open species, and to celebrate the fact that they are open, I will actually be making an adoptable AFLIT character that actually violates some guidelines, because it will be a very rare, uncommon AFLIT with very specific and very uncommon features. So keep an eye out for that. It'll probably be on my Twitter, my Instagram, or my Facebook page. But, you know, keep an eye out and you might get your hands on a very, very rare, uncommon AFLIT.
Everybody sing along. You know why you don't care. Now you know. I got the you know what. I figured.